What else do we need to know about election season, advertising, what advertisers need to be careful of? Is there any good news here?
There's good news. If you're good at what you do, if you're a good media buyer, you are going to tell your clients and the brands you work with, you're going to advocate proactively, so you're not going to look like, what is happening? If you're a good media buyer, you're going to understand how to have diversity in your creative so that you can still stand out amongst a lot more noise. So the good thing is, if you're good at this, they're finally going to get out of a lot of these people who are like not very good at it, but are still somehow alive and with their businesses. Like, there are going to be a lot of agencies and a lot of freelancers that are going to find new jobs next year.
Hello and welcome to Perpetual Traffic Podcast. This is the show where we talk about business, marketing, and octagonal Play-Doh. I'm Kasim, Aslam, the co-founder of the Driven Mastermind. We're so glad that you can join us today. Please don't forget to come hang out with us in our new Telegram group, perpetualtraffic.com/Telegram. I'm joined by one of our most requested guests, the illustrious, the brilliant, the beautiful, the talented Lauren Petrullo. Lauren, thank you for being here.
Hello. You said most requested guest? Okay, well, I think you wanted to say funniest guest.
No, that's never, nobody's ever said that. You've said obnoxious and redundant.
I'm now keeping a tally. You know this, right?
Of what?
How many individuals have told me I am funnier than you?
Yeah. Here's the thing. You have to consider the source, Lauren. So this isn't a democracy, it's a meritocracy. So it's like one person, one vote is an irrelevant count. What really matters is, it's like a palate, right? So you wouldn't ask just a random person, how's this wine? You'd go to how do you this Somalis? Sommelier. You go to sommelier, and then you say, how is this wine? And they grade the wine based off of their palate. So we need a humor sommelier.
I think this is more of an electoral college, and I've just been sweeping up votes.
The Electoral College is an open-air conspiracy and con job. So if that's what you think this is, fine, I hand it to you. Congratulations on winning the fraudulent election, Lauren. So glad that you could take that seat and crown. I hope you feel good about yourself. How do you sleep at night? That's my question.
Well, with my husband next to me, knowing that I am still funnier than you.
Yeah. Moving on to jokes that aren't dead and dying and dried out. And speaking of the Electoral College, Lauren Petrullo had a good idea for a topic today, which is a first. We're going to talk about how the election year is going to impact advertising, costs, inventory. And then also, I think something we should talk about is temperament. Because I can tell you, just personally speaking, and this is anecdotal, I haven't seen data on this, but I think people's receptivity to advertising messaging decreases significantly during things like election years or other massive disasters.
That's fair, but to that point, if we go deeper into it, I mean, the inundation of text messaging and the acceptance of text messaging. Like, I remember 4 years ago, and all these chatbots we built, all of these follow-up comm flows, we would just get inundated with different temperature thresholds of acceptance as we got closer to the November election. Of, stop texting me, you are like a political campaign, or more ignoring of our text messages because they were so inundated. It's just competing differently.
Yeah, well, and I also wonder too, how do these political campaigns not get nailed by the SEC?
Oh, there's an exception. There's an exception in law, and I'm not a lawyer, but as I understand it, there's an exception for political and like one other nonprofit choice where you can do SMS without the opt-in.
I had no idea that was the case. I wonder who voted that into law.
Probably the silly ones that think you are funnier. So that was a mistake.
Yeah, dude, if I could chemically castrate any group of humans in the world, it would be the politicians. I just think they're the most vile, worthless, do nothing, create nothing, build nothing, help nothing. Like, oh my goodness gracious. And it's all of them too. If you're like, oh, I'm on this side or I'm on that side, to hell with your sides. Like, here's the best part. They can switch sides. They're interchangeable. None of these people, they don't care about any of these things. Local politicians are probably different, but as soon as you've made it to this national level, you know, like the fact that they can get just the fact that they have special SEC rules. for themselves. You know, they have
Fair.
special
Like,
health care. They have, you know, it's just like, are you, and we're just going to sit here like a group of sheep, like, I know it's happening and I know it's wrong, but there's nothing we can do about it. So go ahead and, you know, buy your stocks right before you know they're going to spike and make your hundreds of millions of dollars. That's all published, documented, not conspiracy theory-esque at all. And I will just do nothing because what can we do? You know, just a voice in the wind screaming in a podcast, like even that ruins your day. You might as well just sit down, drink your fluoride laden water, get super sedated, get fat, watch Netflix, and just we're just hogs to slaughter. And gosh, I cannot stand these imbeciles and the fact that they spike our CPMs. Now it's personal. Now it's
it's
personal. I
personal.
bet you there are laws, Lauren, that say they get like cheaper traffic too. I bet you Google and Facebook, dude, that's actually a fact. Have you seen the actuary tables where Gmail was delivering certain parties' emails and not delivering other parties' emails?
No.
Oh yeah, I shall find the case study.
Okay, well, that will be linked in the show notes if Kasim is capable of finding said resource.
Kasim's capable of Googling.
For those who are watching on YouTube or not watching on YouTube, you are not watching, you will get to see Kasim's confused face as he's trying to.
No, here it is. Republicans are suing Google over email spam filtering.
Oh, wow.
So all the GOP's emails were going straight to spam. And they've got all these like these split tests. Like here's the you know conservative laden emails that didn't land, and here's the left leaning emails that did.
And then watch, here's the opportunity. It's like all of the deliverability for this party's side was done to you by insert the stronger. If
Insert.
you were the person that did it, I would be like, hey, look, there's a whole lawsuit because the GOP believed that what I did was sabotage when in fact I'm just really good at what I do. So hire me and
Well,
don't
that's
be like
what's really
them.
funny too. You have to consider that be the case because the GOP would have like older, more geriatric marketers, right? So they just don't know spam laws, maybe. And then the Democrats, they always have like the young, naive, sort of like we're going to change the world, kids, and they'd actually like know how to get into an inbox. So the GOP thinks that Google's like what politically racist when in fact they just don't know can spam act.
However, I will say that from Trump's marketing team, to one day, if anyone listening knows who is responsible for this, do you know about how when jebbush.com name went down, they had let the domain expire, and so Trump's marketing team bought the
Got
URL.
it.
So
Oh, that
for
makes me so
5 days
happy.
or something, if you went to jebbush.com, you were redirected to donaldtrump.com.
I would do that. My redirect would be so much more heinous. It would be like a very specific OnlyFans account. I would find the OnlyFans actor that looks the most like Jeb Bush, and then I would send it straight to there. Also, the FEC rules against Republican claims of Google media bias. So allow me to redact that statement. Apparently, they didn't do it, but
Oh.
it sure looked like they did.
Well, it was worth it enough. Isn't like showing and assuming half of the political marketing strategies? It's like that one president who said, or that senator who said he wanted the other senator to say that he did not have sexual relations with a pig. Do you know this story?
I thought that was a Black Mirror TV episode.
Was it? Oh, maybe it
Yeah,
was.
the
And I'm
Netflix. Have you seen that
confusing
show?
TV and history classes together.
Wouldn't be the first time, I bet. I'm
Definitely
sure
won't
that
be the
what you just
last.
said is true, but there's a Netflix show called Black Mirror. I think it's called Black Mirror. I've only seen like 2 episodes, and I'm pretty sure the first episode was a politician uh, making love to a pig.
Oh, well, this didn't happen. It's just
Oh,
someone had said it. And then, as I understood, is the senator had to disprove that he didn't because it was out in the world, whether it was
how
true
do
or
you
not.
disprove a negative?
He just said, I want him to be talking about it, so I'm going to put it out in the world.
That's brilliant.
Political marketing has a lot of savvy marketers behind it. Just maybe
Yeah. So
not
the point
necessarily.
that you're making is if you just posit an opinion, regardless of the opinion, as long as it's not like actual slander, uh, then putting it into the ether like plants it into people's minds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I were to say, you know, something like I heard from the grapevine that Lauren Petrullo gets all of her
Is
pink,
so
pink
much
heels from
funnier than
Goodwill.
Kasim.
Then people would be like, oh, she's a Goodwill pink heel shopper.
I mean, as I'm like literally wearing pink heels,
Boom. How did I know?
I don't know. It's like it's on brand or something.
Yeah, I bet you those are made from like the bones of endangered whales, and you're a bad person. Would be my expectation. That wouldn't surprise me. Is all I'm saying. Let's talk about our dates. We're in March. It's the end of March, March
Hmm.
21st. It's Arabic Mother's Day.
Oh,
Yeah, so the Arabs celebrate Mother's Day, the first day of spring, which actually makes a lot more sense.
fair.
So
But in Italy,
happy.
Father's Day was the other day. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Different
Well, the
culture.
Italians and the Arabs have a storied history too. There's a lot. Most of it's not good, but I wonder if there's
I,
something there too. But happy Mother's Day to all of the Arab women listening to Perpetual Traffic. We have a big carve out of that demographic. It's March 21st. What's going to happen this year, Lauren Petrullo, and when? How are all these horrible, obnoxious political campaigns going to impact our digital marketing schedule?
well, I would say the biggest thing to be super clear is like one, uh, political campaigns don't have an ROI. So it's not
Oh,
like
that's not
I'm
true.
driving towards a goal
Yeah.
that I can measure against. So you'll have people, it's you either win or lose. It's not like you're investing in trying to improve an ROI. Your ROI is a race to win and it's binary. You win or you don't. So there's a lot of like ludicrous media buying because it's an all in kind of situation. So when you're in
Interesting point.
a media buyer who is accustomed to normal auction bidding and competing against inventory that people in that same vertical or other audiences are used to, you just have like almost like a toddler coming in, it's like everything at once.
Yeah.
And then you have to keep doing it because as we get closer, at least in the US, to the presidential election, you still have debates and you still have other components that you're pushing for popularity to that maybe then you'll decrease your spend. But then the closer you get to the November elections, the stronger the odds are of you having to invest more and more. So it's just this kind of like bloodbath
Well, and
for
I mean,
media
there's no
buying and
demographic
CPMs.
that's safe, right? Like you could assume, okay,
Mm-mm.
they're going to go after older leaning because they vote more, but they seem not to, in my experience anyway. There's not much segmentation. There really are. It's what you're saying. It's like batch and blast, and they're
Mm.
looking for the most amount of views in total.
I would say, I mean, I can't speak to if there isn't different segmentation because I'm seeing ads that cater to my gender and my age group. And I've seen ads that my mom has gotten, and my
Mm.
mom is turning 80 this year. So they don't look like me in the ad. So I think there is segmentation to an extent, but it's not at the
That surprises me because you're
experience
so
segmentation.
matronly. Like I would assume that, like from an interest-based perspective, that they would target you. You
I have
know.
I have told you, being an advertiser, anyone that's listening that does media buying, you are the worst person to target ads. Like I had to stop telling Facebook. I was getting preschool ads. I was getting like erectile dysfunction ads. I was
Oh,
getting like
dude.
all gambits, like single looking to mingle, all of these different life cycles because
Because you're dipping
oh
in and out. Yeah, we had a client that did penile enlargement. It was a surgery, and I had it. We were going through. We did this thing every Friday. We'd go through all of our client reports, and anybody that was in the risk section, we would review. And
yeah,
so I'd pull up the client site, and we'd do the on-site audit, and I'd make recommendations or whatever. And I left the tab open, and then I went and I did a talk for the digital marketer crew. And so I have this penile enlargement tab. Oh, and the entire time I'm sharing my screen, and there's just no way to explain that. You're just like, "Yep, that happened," and I can prove. I have. Here's the thing. I don't know how long the client was with us, a year and a half. So I can prove that this was a client. They paid me money, but still nobody believes you. They're just like, "Of course, Kasim," and then you get their remarketing ads, and
well, were their results bigger than when they
it,
were prior?
I don't know. I need to check and make sure they're not a client before I say this.
Okay,
I'm gonna confirm with my Airtable. I'm pretty sure they canceled. It didn't work at all. It
okay.
was like a I guess it doesn't matter. It's not like I said their name. I'm not going to check. I'm just going to hope. I don't think they're still with us. And yeah, that was the problem. Was like all you had to do was like Google like their name or the name of the surgery and then Reddit, and it was just a bunch of like poor sad guys who were like, and it was expensive too. So Probably all
I haven't
politicians.
looked into that surgery personally, so I'm not
No,
sure what the price
yet.
point is.
Don't sell yourself short, Lauren.
Short is not something that is often associated with me.
This has gone dangerously close to PG-13 if I were to pursue that. Given the topic, we shall move on
I just
to.
meant that I'm taller than most people
We were
because I
talking
wear
about.
crazy inch heels.
All right. Um, the dates. So
The
when do you
dates,
think
okay.
CPMS are going to start spiking?
I think they're going to progressively spike the closer you get to the election, but I think it's really going to start to pick up in May
Why May?
because you have why May? You have everyone that's coming out of spring break now.
Mm,
So every like including marketing advertisers, they're on spring break. But May is when college kids get out of school, who are going to be the ones that are going to be a lot of the advertising spenders. And they're going to be the ones that are going to be having conversations at home. So it's just before summer when
mm.
all family kids are on break. So I think there's just be this increase. And then I think every other spike is going to be related to each presidential major debate.
Yeah, I just Googled it. Thank you, Lord Google.
Mm.
And you're basically exactly right. 2014 number of paid TV households in the United States from 2013 to 2017. 2014, 100.5. What does that mean? 100? Oh, 100 in millions. So 100 million. Dude, there's 320 million people in the U.S. Only a third had cable.
But I wonder, is that households or is that individuals?
Oh, you're right. So that's basically everybody. There's three people in a households,
So,
right?
but look at
Okay.
that. In the course of 4 years, it cut in half.
Yeah. So from 2014 to 2020, it was
Oh,
down
no, I went further.
23%, and then 30%. And then and these are all prognosticative.
Projections.
Yeah. But by 2027, it's in half. I mean, shit, to be honest with you, by 2024, it's in half. I wonder if these numbers held true because this was published, it looks like, in 2022. And you know what that
But with
does?
that being said, right, like TV commercials, which used to be a big component for political
Oh, it
advertising,
all went digital media.
debates, all
Yeah.
of that, it means the opportunity is there for digital marketers to continue to be able to reach audiences that politicians may have connected to before. But also, it means that where are the debates, where are people going to still consume the same material because they're going to go on YouTube or they're going to go on Facebook or they're going to go on TikTok, wherever they're going to go to find that content, or they're going to see cuts and reactions of that content. So actually, I would wonder if this is possible to see if the average amount of a debate people watched before when they only watched it on TV and then talked about it at work has
Mm.
actually increased because now they may be watching it in whole, but they also might be watching like 10,000 clips or 20 different people reacting to it. So it's just so much more than watching the news on the news, but they're watching it on their socials and it's permeating every way possible for them to be aware of
Yeah,
what's
that's
happening.
so dangerous, though. The fact that all we get are sound bites, not everything's taken out of context. But you're right. The lack of, I think this makes a huge case for smart TV. John Moran talks about this now. What's YouTube's smart TV advertising channel? You know what I'm talking about? You can, what the hell? Smart TV. So YouTube pulled out a whole new. I gotta ask John. We should have him do a whole episode on it. But you're watching television on YouTube, and advertisers can advertise there specifically. It's a specific placement allotted for smart TV, just for YouTube smart TV, and it's
Oh, amazing.
unbelievably potent. Like John's like, dude, the cost here is insanely low, and the reach is unbelievably high. Now, the reason advertisers don't like it is because smart TV really has no CTA. What are you gonna do? So, like you said, it's not action based. But to be frank, I think that's how we need to start looking at advertising. Stop
There.
assuming there's a prompt, right? There's no call to action. It's just like, I'm going to teach you and indoctrinate you, and we're going to go top of funnel, which is what my traffic and conversion talk was about. For anybody who didn't see it, it was amazing. So I think
It
this
was good.
is
I'll
great.
confirm it.
Yeah,
It got a standing ovation.
it did. Yeah, I was the one standing and ovating. Uh, this, I think, continues to push that narrative, though, which is as we see a decrease in the consumption of the more traditional media, you can advertise in digital media, but in the previous, like I'm using I'm trying to stick with the same nomenclature, but in traditional ways. So like
Mm.
people that were doing TV advertising are now thinking to themselves, "Oh, I need to go figure out Facebook ads." Well, no, you can still do TV advertising, just change where the TV is, right? So now
Sure.
you're advertising on Hulu or smart TV or whatever, and it's the same paradigm, same approach, same audience, same impact. It's the same
Yeah.
everything. It's just
Yeah.
different, a different mechanism. And so we actually don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater in its entirety. And at the moment, it's a lot cheaper. TV ads are still obscenely expensive. I don't understand it at all. I had a buddy, he's a member of Driven. He's a television producer. Well, he's actually a film producer. He's produced massive, massive films like Johnny Depp movie, like really, really, really big ones. Lauren, you know him.
Mm. Mm.
And he was talking about an endeavor that we might undertake, and what I thought was really interesting is we were talking about the reach of television shows, and like some of these massive, I'm using air quotes, some of these massive shows that you've heard of and they advertise, and they have commercials for, and great big names attached to, and then you look at like how many views they get, and it's like 30,000 views for that episode. And I'm like, I know. And I'm like, my freaking YouTube channel has 40,000 subscribers. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I can get that digital like this. And if
Yeah.
you really look at the reach of major network television, it's a fraction of what we think it is, especially because
Yeah.
there's so many damn TV shows out there. So anyway, yeah, that was more soapboxing than
Smart
the.
TV. Well, I mean, I look forward to the day, and like for me, I thought this was going to happen sooner than it has been, but just you're going to have smart Super Bowl commercials, and they're going to open up whole new inventory because Super Bowl, everyone watches the same commercials, but you have different people watching them. And then
Mm,
because people have smart TVs, because people are also watching on their mobile devices or through socials like YouTube and such, you can have targeted ads during the Super Bowl, and then you just now have a whole new level of inventory. So that's just something I've been waiting for that I'm disappointed how long it's taking. So I would wonder if the YouTube Smart TV is like the prequel to what additional TV buying is, because like as soon as the Super Bowl opens it up, so imagine then all the other people that could advertise locally during the Super Bowl or advertise it to this Taylor Swift fans watching the Super Bowl for the first time versus just football fans
did
watching.
Taylor
You're like,
Swift
I
win the
don't
Super Bowl this year?
know, but her boyfriend did.
Oh yeah, he like
And it
chewed
was
on the
like,
coach's ear.
maybe I
Yeah,
don't know.
I didn't watch the Super
But
Bowl.
it was the most expensive Super Bowl as I understand it because she had to like fly overnight or something from Japan. But either way, like she has brought in a huge new fan base to watch the Super Bowl, and there were a lot of companies that had to reshoot Super Bowl commercials because there were going to be more women watching the Super Bowl than ever before.
Mm.
So those kind of like jumping in on those cultural conversations, I think, is going to be hyper relevant during the political season. And if you're paying attention to the debates, and if you're paying attention to major marketing budgets, so like what I would do is I would go to the Facebook ad library and even check out like the Google ads that major politicians are using, because that's going to be something people are seeing. And then if
Oh,
you
dude, if
can
you can
leverage
parody
that
those
creative and
ads,
hijack,
yeah, even a bad parody gets shared. You can have a D minus parody, but like because people get so annoyed at seeing the same thing over and over and over again, and it's like I'm Dick Cheney, and let me tell you about my childhood growing up in the seas of Alabama or whatever. And then like if you can just even if it's like because you've heard that 150 times, and then so
mm,
somebody can come in and do like even a poor parody, you're gonna that's so much more potent
that's
than any other bad advertising.
think of how successful SNL is for the next 9 months.
Right.
Like they just have so much fodder and material to work with.
Dude, the elections kept SNL alive. Like they were falling off hard. I like their
Mm.
new what's that guy's name? Michael Che.
Oh,
Like,
I love him.
yeah, ever since he came on, I feel like they turned around. Did you see the one with Nate Bargatze about rates and measures? He plays George Washington.
No,
It's
but
so good. It's George Washington explaining his dream for the country solely in the fact that we're not going to use the metric system. Um, it's amazing. Like it's just
really?
5 minutes of just how stupid Americans are that we refuse And then he's like explaining. He's like, "No, we'll measure beer this way, but other liquids will be measured this." It's so just on point. And if you travel internationally or you have international friends, you know how stupid we are. Like you know how big a deal it is that we're not base 10, and that. And then the story goes, I think it was Ben Franklin. I think somebody was coming to pitch Franklin on the metric system, and their boat was late. Have you heard this?
No,
Hold on, googling this too. Uh,
but you have to be careful because Google's going to show you what's relevant to you. Which, based off of how many conspiracy theories you go down, Kasim, like it might be Reddit.
it might be Reddit. No, it was Thomas Jefferson. Oh no, so Thomas Jefferson instituted a metric system early on. Ben Franklin, where did it go? I don't know. There's a story about somebody was going to come and share it with us. Yeah, it also explains
And
how
they
the
were late.
founding father Benjamin Franklin helped to develop the metric system. That's amazing. Uh, and then, but we adopted the old English system for whatever reason. And then the Brits went and turned on us and used the metric system. How dare they?
Well, look, it's not just the US that uses different systems. Like Korea has two different counting systems. Did you know this? They have
No.
two different ways to count numbers. I mean, it's the same numbers, but they have two different. There's Sino-Korean and Korean.
Is it base 10 and base 16, like hexagonal, hex something?
It's just two different words for the way to say one. So you have
Oh, okay.
Hana and then you'll have E. So like there's just two. No, wait, no. Il.
Well, it's just
Il is
linguistic
one.
variants, right? So then there's just dialects, basically. Okay. But I still think that's more logically cogent than us having a system that like doesn't translate mathematically. Do you know what I mean? It's like how many cups in a pint? We don't know. Nobody knows.
But you do you understand that like you have to say one number for the hour and the other number for the minute, so it's
As
not
opposed
like
to
you're
what?
sticking same to same. I don't remember which order it goes, but say like it's like, oh, what time is it? You would say like 2:45, but you'd say 2 in Sino-Korean and 45 in regular Korean. So
Really?
you have to like know which one those
Oh no,
are.
that
And
is
then also
confusing.
like until last year, Koreans had a different age than internationally. So like when I learned how old I was in Korea, I was like, oh, you're one when you're born, and then you turn the next year when you hit the new
That makes
year,
way
so
more
your
sense. 'Cause
birthday.
why would we discount the amount of time you spent in the womb? That's the most important amount of time. You're doing
So,
more growth than a human has ever done. So yeah, I'm with the Koreans on this. Although
but
that would
I'm
make
born
me
on New
40.
Year's Eve.
So I just backed out.
I was born on New Year's Eve, so I was 2 years old when I was 2 hours old.
You were 2 years old. Oh, that's a parlor trick there, Lauren Petrullo.
That
You're
just made me older.
yeah.
Not a fan.
No. Oh, you're going to Korea soon, aren't you?
Yes,
When?
May,
Are you excited?
assuming the very excited.
Yeah. Are you
I'm
going to
so
South or
excited.
North Korea?
Both, hopefully.
Are you really going to go to North Korea? You're lying. Are you
If
going to
there's
pull a
a
Dennis
way, I will
Rodman?
try to go.
You're going to sneak into
No,
North
I
Korea.
look. Not all passports are not allowed to get into North Korea. A U.S. passport doesn't allow you to get into North Korea under very certain circumstances. Other
An
countries, you
Italian
can.
passport. Wow.
So
Interesting.
there's if there's a will, there's a way. I
Why
want
would there
to.
be a will? What's the what's isn't don't aren't you scared? I'd be scared.
You'd be scared. I
Yes,
mean, there. I mean, I want to see and experience as many cultures as possible,
I
and
do too, but
you
not
know,
under totalitarian regimes. I will leave the regimes to themselves.
look. Even if I just go and like touch my foot and get a passport stamp, that's winning for me because then that's like my new mark of like, how cool are you? Have you been to North Korea? No. Oh,
It's your new mark of how you now are not allowed in any other country because you're apparently like a communist spy.
oh my goodness. I don't know who is listening to this, but do not believe whatever Kasim is saying right now.
All right, moving on. What else do we need to know about election season, advertising? What advertisers need to be careful of, know about? What can they capitalize on? What's the good news, Lauren Petrullo? Like, is there any good news here outside of the fact that I mean, there's no good news in
If
election season.
No, there's good news. If you're good at what you do, if you're a good media buyer, you are going to tell your clients and the brands you work with, you're going to advocate proactively. So you're not going to look like, what is happening? If you're a good media buyer, you're going to understand how to have diversity in your creative so that you can still stand out amongst a lot more noise. So the good
Diversity
thing
is
is if
very
you're good at
important
this,
in election season.
they're finally going to get out of a lot of these people who are like not very good at it, but are still somehow alive in with their businesses. Like there are going to be a lot of agencies and a lot of freelancers that are going to find new jobs next year. And
Mm,
so it will, I think it's going to be like a leveling the playing field again, because when you're frustrated that there are bad media buyers and bad agencies and they're giving unrealistic expectations,
mm.
the playing field is about to be evened out. Like, so that's great. The other good thing is that, uh, if,
I
no,
forgot
no,
what you
that's
were
it.
going to say.
No, there really isn't anything else.
There's nothing good, right? Like, let me ask you this, okay? Who are you voting for?
Myself.
Oh, yeah,
In terms of who I'm voting for, who is funnier than Kasim? Lauren Petrulo.
yeah. So you're in the delusional candidate camp, I see.
Well, no, hold on. There is one more benefit. If you work with, if you're in the political marketing space, you're about to make a lot of money. And if you're not, there's a lot of opportunity for someone to make a lot of money.
Yeah, again, going back to the parody piece, it's interesting uh, what people do to be contrarian. So
Mm.
I'd ask marketers to keep that in mind because while everybody's going to be, sick of the political advertising, if you give somebody, so who said this? Gosh, I wish I could properly attribute this because it's brilliant. People share in social because of what it says about them. And I never really thought about that, but I forget what I was reading. I was trying to crack the code on Instagram, which I never did. I suck at Instagram. But whoever I was reading said, look, what you have to think about is people don't share content because it's interesting or because whatever. They share it because of what it says about them. And I'm like, oh my god, that is so true. Everything I've ever shared, I really subconsciously, secretly, I'm like, I want people to think I'm this way, And so if you have that in mind, especially during times of tumultuous like communication patterns or whatever, giving people the opportunity to say something about themselves, especially if you give them the opportunity to take a contrarian view, or even to be the cool kid or to be like, who is the guy in the Breakfast Club who like didn't want to hang out and he was in the corner and you know what I'm talking about?
Uh, yes, the brunette guy, but that's not my movie. Oh my gosh, please don't be mad. I've watched it like once.
You know, that's
Molly
okay.
Ringwald's in it, the redhead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Wow. So offended. Anyway, if you give people the opportunity to kind of identify themselves as like, the rebel, you can do that with your content. And that becomes ultra shareable content. So that's a good golden nugget. That should have been the beginning of the episode. People share because of what it says about them. And that might be one of the only reasons that people share, really, if you get down to the root. I'd ask you to
I mean,
challenge me on that.
no, I agree with you 100%. And I would just say, I would challenge anyone that wants to compete with marketing is to always put out content that's shareable, because if you look at like algorithm, like Elon Musk published the Twitter ranking, right, of how much your activity on Twitter or other people's activity with your post increases your engagement. There's a point system, right? Someone likes it, you get half a point. If someone replies, you get 5 points. If someone shares it, you get 75 points. If someone reports it, it's like negative 375 points, right? So there is a documented pointing system, and sharing is the most amount of increase. Even on meta ads, you have engagement. You can see like if you have more shares, there's this thing called like a unicorn ad that we use. If there are more shares than there are comments and there are a minimum of 50 shares, that's a hugely successful ad. So like
If
if
there are
you're
more
ever, so
shares
I
than
would,
there are comments,
yes,
and there's a minimum of 50 shares, that's the line.
yeah, then save that, send it to your team and be like, how do we recreate this? Because it's
Mhm.
already proven to be a very successful ad. So if I would challenge anyone that is in the creative space, because media buying is much, much easier now, and you're creative, curious your audience, and all of your effort as a media buyer really goes into like offer formulation and like having a creative that like has a sexy offer, that has a creative that goes to an obvious audience, I would say, how can you make your content more shareable? Because if they're going to share it, so what will it say about the person who's sharing it? I would put that as a filter of how I would take away from what you've said as a way that I would look at from a creative director standpoint as before we would present them to a client.
That's brilliant. I like that. You basically just said what I said, but differently, but well done.
So you're just calling yourself brilliant in that point and
That's
saying, good
correct.
job, Lauren,
Good
on
job, Lauren, for
reiterating.
parroting me. That's the smartest you sound is when you say things I said.
Oh, that I'm funnier than you? Great.
Yeah. I know, you know, Shakespeare has a quote here, Lauren, he who doth protest most. And you'll notice that this isn't, and I never even really planted a flag in the funny camp. Like I've never tried to insist on being funny or promote myself as funny. You started this
Mm.
war, and the fact that you're losing, I think, is sad.
I, I don't think I'm losing at all. I
I'm
think
pretty
that's
sure you're
your
losing.
attempt.
The fact that
All right.
people to your face are even willing to tell you that you're funnier, like that's a. You ever see the movie Rudy? No? All
How
right.
old do you think I am? No.
Rudy's a great movie. You're Rudy. That's
I
all I'm saying. People are rooting for you, but the same way they rooted for him.
Now I don't know if I want to watch this movie. I was like, I
Sean
want to be
Austin.
Hercules.
That is Sean Austin.
Lord of
What
the
else do
Rings.
people need to know? Did we do it? Is that good? I mean, we're 45 minutes
I,
in. I feel like outside of all the editing we had to do because you kept messing up.
I would say that something really important is that the election is happening around Black Friday. So for those that are used to Black Friday being more expensive,
Oh, it's
just
going
know
to be
that it's like
murder.
times 10.
Yeah.
So I would recommend you start Black Friday planning in June and start Black Friday execution in July, not by like selling your offer, but you want to build up your audiences so you're not going after cold. You're just retargeting and you're using areas of marketing like your emails, like your SMS, your print, or whatever the other things
Yeah.
are to more cost effectively go after the same people, all the politicians and all the big brick and mortars that are coming in and everything else that disrupts your costs. Start being more efficient sooner than later. July for Black Friday, sooner than later now, because in May, I think we're going to start to see the political ads creep out from the
From
woodwork.
the netherworld where they belong. Yeah, I can't tell you how many clients come to us on like November 25th and they're like, we want to run a Black Friday promotion. And I'm like, I bet you do next year. Love to talk to you about your 2025 Black Friday promo. Yeah, you definitely have to get out ahead of that one. I have to be honest, and this is a contrarian view. I don't think Black Friday, Cyber Monday is worth doing at all anymore. I think that we have found ourselves beyond the tipping point of efficacy where the
Mm.
increased permeation isn't worth the increased costs. And I saw that last year was our, and last year was an amazing year for media buy, uh, probably record setting in terms of, you know, people moving into Meta and Google, the amount they spent, the conversions, value produced, etc. It was also one of the worst Black Friday, Cyber Monday seasons I've ever seen. In terms of actual profitability.
Profit.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you might have grossed a shit ton. And that's the problem is all these businesses are looking, look at our gross. I still don't understand. I don't understand how people didn't take that course in economics. And you're talking about
Mm.
effectively a high school dropout. But like gross revenue is a vanity metric. It means nothing. It means nothing. Uh, And yet people are still like, oh, we killed Black Friday. And I'm like, but you lost money, you know? And then it's like, well, yeah, but now more people know and we have all these customers. I'm like, all right, I don't know how many times you're going to be able to spin that roulette wheel.
I say it's a justification holiday. I mean, you still will have your existing customers and clients that'll rebuy, but I agree with
You're
you in
just going to
terms of
wait
like
till the
I
next
don't like
Black
Black
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, you just taught
But then you
everybody, hey, my shit can be cheaper. Here are my margins. You know, this is what I'm willing to do.
Yeah. But in the
Yeah.
same thread, like I would say like when we start with like July for Black Friday, it's new customer acquisition. It's testing what we find to like resonate well with people. And then it's actually descaling a lot of our ad spend in the most expensive time period. I will say one thing that was cool that we found helpful is being honest for some of our brands, saying like, we're not doing Black Friday. If you want a discount, you can use a discount. But for any orders that don't use a discount, we're actually going to donate. So it was like a goodwill initiative.
I like
So
that
we're
better.
leveraging that, like, you're going to buy.
Yeah.
You can keep the savings if you want, because we know you're expecting this savings, or you could put it towards something else.
Yeah.
And so that was just a way to shift in that contrarian effort to stand out a little bit. So that was a good piece. I will say other things for Black Friday that we've found that worked last year, even though like profitability, because you're paying the most amount of money for the least amount of margin. So I agree with you that like Black Friday is just full of a lot of justification at KPIs, and you're like, yeah, and I got new customers. Okay, but can you retain them? We'll find out.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the other
If
problem.
you're
Can you
offering
retain them?
bundles.
It's the Groupon problem. Do you remember what Groupon in its heyday?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
oh dear
And they
God,
bought Living Social.
did they really?
Yes. Oh, I
Oh, I didn't
love
know that.
Living Social.
Well, fun fact, I did all of a little business that I own called Side Amaze did all of the website development for Living Social. They're based out of Colorado. They were like, I was their sole vendor. And then one day they
Oh,
fired me and they're like, we're not, because in order to advertise on Living Social, you had to have a website. And most of these little businesses didn't at the time. That's how old I am.
mm,
And so Living Social hired me and I had this little business called Side Amaze and I was building websites at $100 a pop. And so they'd send them to me and I would build all the websites. It was a great little gig. And then the real money there wasn't the website build, it was the hosting. Because I'd charge $100 per
oh,
website, but I'd charge $10 a month for hosting, which is actually pretty expensive for small website hosting. You know, most of these are 1, 2, 3 page websites. And I ended
yeah,
up with like, I don't know. I mean, we did, I don't know how many. Um, yeah, it was a
a
great little
lot.
business. Great little
You were the
business.
printer. You delivered the printer for Living Social, and then you sold the bejesus out of ink.
The ink. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Mm.
Those are great little, for any entrepreneur listening. I won't do anything that doesn't have a continuity model now, ever. I refuse to get into a business that doesn't have some level of recurring revenue. Even if it's little like that, because it's just, gosh, it's as hard to sell $500 as it is to sell $500 a month. It's the same lift, you know, and to just tack on something like, hey, do you want whatever, something. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was a bit of a soapbox. What were we talking about? Oh, Groupon. So here's the problem with Groupon is
Mm.
you're a nail salon and you'd go advertise the Groupon and you'd get like 500 people who buy the Groupon and you're thinking to yourself like 500 customers. And in the beginning, that actually ended up being true. It was people that were local to you and they were close and you could retain them. But as Groupon grew, you would get the piranha, the predatory bargain shoppers that were just looking for the Groupons, and they'll drive 45 minutes to your nail salon for the cheap whatever, and they'll never come back, and they're not worth anything. They tip horribly, and it's horrible fulfillment opportunity because you kill it. Your real customers now are there's no appointments available, or the person that they're used to using is booked up. That's Black Friday, Cyber Monday now. It's a fulfillment nightmare. It's a pricing nightmare. It's a profitability nightmare. I think if you're really good at it, it sounds like Lauren Petrillo, you're really good at it. So maybe like you can squeeze opportunities out of the margins. But unless you're doing what Lauren's talking about, like starting in July, planning ahead, you really know the action plan. Don't for a minute think you can jump into Black Friday, Cyber Monday without triple PhD game plan. Just like you have to have.
Especially this Black Friday with the
Yeah,
political election. So that's where you said, what's the good thing? I was like, there's going to be a lot of wannabe agencies and a lot of like really junior media buyers that are going to be in a biz op opportunity. So if you're in a biz op, if you're providing a product that's for biz op, come Black Friday, there's going to be a lot of people that it won't work for.
yeah.
And if you're
Black
looking at
Friday's going to be
buying
a bloodbath.
businesses, it will be, especially in a political year. So, like, come December, come January, you're going to have a lot of businesses that are going to be ripe for acquisition.
Bloodbath Friday.
Are you calling it Bloodbath Friday instead of Black Friday?
Yeah, Bloodbath Friday.
There you go.
Bloody Friday. I don't know. I don't know why I'm
Sure.
so negative today. I'm normally a very positive person, I think. Maybe not.
I took all your positivity from you as I made you like chase me around this hotel to find a not very quiet space and do the best I could. I zapped it all. I apologize. I'm
Lauren
sorry.
Petrillo, what else do you have to say to the Perpetual Traffic listener?
Whether you believe it or not, Kasim is funny. Maybe not as funny as me, but I do love him with all my heart.
Mm,
And he is very kind and normally happy. And if you don't like his less than happy demeanor today, you can blame me, and I'm sorry.
it's 100% Lauren's fault. She was 3 minutes late to our call.
It was. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm joking. That was it. I think we did it. If you're listening here, everything that we talked about is going to be in the show notes. Make sure to go back and listen to previous episodes. Please give us positive ratings, especially on iTunes. This is how we juice the algorithm and let everybody know that we know what we're talking about. You can follow Ralph Burns, who wasn't here today. Oh, how do we make fun of Ralph real quick?
Well, we can talk. I mean, how do we make fun of Ralph?
How do we hurt his feelings?
Oh,
It's like really go
he's
for
like the
jugular.
dad to our sibling rivalry. I don't want to
Yeah.
get on Dad's bad side.
Really? So that's the sibling I am. All right. Ralph,
Yeah.
why wasn't Ralph here? That's the question. He was out doing what?
He was shopping for. No, I can't. I was saying shopping for the product you were looking for earlier.
Oh,
If
the
you haven't
penile
listened to his
enlargement.
full episode.
Ralph is out due to his not to be mentioned surgery. So say with Lauren Petrullo, he will be back in the next Perpetual Traffic episode. You can follow him at Ralph HB on Twitter. Make sure to check him out on LinkedIn. I'm on all socials at Kasim Aslam. Lauren Petrullo, where are you? How can people follow you?
Lauren E. Petrullo on all the socials.
What is E, Elizabeth?
Yes. Well done. Oh, see, look at how well you know me. My
I
middle
know.
name. Very
Do you
good.
know
Well
my
done.
middle name?
Do you have a middle name?
You were going to guess something super ethnic, weren't you? I saw how racist your mind just got a moment ago.
No, I thought you don't have a middle name. Your initials
I
are
have a
KA
middle
on your
name.
logo.
It's KSA. Yeah. Middle name starts with an S.
KSA? It's
Yeah.
not going to be Samir.
No, that's my little brother's name. That's also my
I
son's
know.
name.
That sounds like.
Yeah.
I was like, it would just be they had better expectations.
Oh, wow. Yeah. My parents did have better expectations. Although I did 0 prison time. So as a sibling, I'm winning. I hope my brother never.
By that line of measurement?
Yeah.
Only in that
Solely
space.
by prison time. That's the only thing I win, though, because if you meet my brother, he's got like a 160 IQ and he's built like a Greek god. So I have nothing other than I did a little less prison than him.
And you have longer hair.
I do
He
have
served a longer
hair.
sentence. You had longer hair.
Yeah. Where were we on the exit? Oh, go check out Perpetual Traffic on Telegram. We have a Telegram group. You can go to perpetualtraffic.com/Telegram. You can watch us on YouTube at perpetualtraffic.com/YouTube. This is the longest exit we've ever had, but it wasn't bad. It was entertaining. On behalf of my co-host.
It takes too long to unmic myself. Lauren Petrullo, bye.
Peace.